Get them maybe put over here against the wall or something. Yeah.
The boxes, yes.
Yeah, just get them. The candles that are out, the big candles that are out, can stay on the table. Thank you. We're about to begin our program. Okay. So you'll want to make your way back to your tables and settle in. We have some special things planned for this evening. Thank you, Philip. No, thank you, Philip. How are we doing this? Okay. It's coming. It's coming. Rick, what's happening? Why are we not on the...
We're on the other two.
Why are we not on the... Oh, here it is. Here we go. Okay.
You just have to
There we
open your mouth.
Okay. So we have several things planned this evening. You know that we're going to showcase the MSA community and the wonderful artwork that's been done, various arts. We'll do our traditional candlelight ceremony, but we've got a little something special this evening. Here we are in Nashville, home of Vanderbilt University and Dr. David Robertson. We cannot be here without recognizing all of the work and commitment that David has brought to the MSA community. Co-founding, and you have the history and you have the bio in the program, co-founding what was then the Shy Drager support group, which has become the MSA Coalition. That was back in 1989. All these years of hard work. I don't know anyone that has interacted with David that hasn't had a wonderful thing to say about David. Patient, family member, colleague. He's a researcher, he's a doctor, he is a kind, wonderful human being, and has really had such a commitment to this group that we must recognize him tonight. Here's some pictures together when I had a visit a few years ago. And yes, with the shoe and the hat. And some interesting discussion and meetings about MSA and the history and how things evolved. We have some stories to share tonight. We have some stories to share from a colleague. We have some stories to share from a caregiver or former caregiver. We have some stories to share from our advocates here on the board. So I want to go ahead and introduce a longtime colleague of David. Dr. Italo Biagiani is going to say some words and share a little bit of the history of David's commitment. Okay, so we need to switch gears here. Hold on. And put yours up. And then we'll come back to this one. Now, I have if it would be easier for you, I don't know if you want to move around. You can switch from here, but we also have that too.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, thanks so much, Cindy.
Thank you, though, for coming to me.
No. Thank you very much for putting this together and for honoring David. I've trained with David, and I resent the fact that he now looks younger than I do. But that's what happens when you train with David and you dedicate so much effort to this disease. And I just wanted to thank you, Cindy, for thinking about David, and we're very honored for the opportunity to talk about his work. So I am going to focus a little bit more on the scientific career of David, and of course, I knew this already, right? But putting it together, you're kind of at awe of all the accomplishment you have done, David. He has close to 550 publications in peer-reviewed journals, 14 books, 10 of those in the New England Journal of Medicine, which, most of us die happy if we have one. So that just tells you a little bit about him. And then, of course, seminal contributions to the disease as well. So he has had, in terms of his science, he has more than 35 years of continuous NIH funding, which I remind you the funding rate is about 10%. So 90% of us don't make it, and David has been able to make it for 35 years. He did the most detailed studies of the autonomic nervous system in space. We actually had an experiment in the Neuro Lab in space. At the only program project grant that dedicated to autonomic disorders, and one of the few clinical ones. And he has been the PI of the Rare Disease Consortium of Autonomic Disorders. And this is some of the work, I've been lucky enough to do with David, the most, again, comprehensive studies in space, and the Rare Disease Consortia. Some of the members are here, Horacio Kaufman, and he's, again, published a seminal article on the natural history of autonomic failure and how do we differentiate that with MSA. And Philip Lowe is done one of the few studies of using a medication to try to delay the progression of disease. That was unfortunately not totally successful, but you learn a lot. You learn a lot with these studies, and they help us figure out the next ones. So I know this is very frustrating for all of us, not only for you, but also for us, the people that are involved in the research. But, it's not a reason that we should give up, and we will continue to try. David also has discovered 3 new diseases. Now, just let me allow you to sink that in. He's discovered 3 new diseases that we didn't know about. You would think that by now we had figured out all the diseases known to man. He came up with 3 new ones. Dopamine beta-hydroxylase deficiency, norepinephrine reuptake deficiency, and baroreflex failure. And this is the hippie years of David and Rose, as beautiful as she is now, with the initial article on DBH deficiency, the norepinephrine reuptake deficiency with some of our colleagues that David was generous enough to allow us to work in this. And also he's discovered novel therapies like water. And this came from interaction with patients. So there was this patient that said, Dr. Robertson, every time I drink water, I feel so much better. And I say, yeah, sure, well, whatever, we're going to keep drinking water. And David said, well, no, let's try this, and why don't we measure your blood pressure? And this is an example of the amazing increase in blood pressure you see just with water. And I tease David all along that we shouldn't have told anybody it was water. We should have bottled it as Nashville Elixir and make some money out of that. But of course not. So and then we we're lucky enough to work with David into discovering that this drug that eventually became Northera, unfortunately too expensive in my mind, but that's a different story, was helpful in completely curing DBH deficiency, and that was in 87. And now it's a drug that is on the market. That tells you how long it's science takes, but again, no reason why we shouldn't keep trying. And we've learned from all this seminal work from David, from the response to water, which we know now is a splaining circulation because of very elegant studies he's done. We've developed an inflatable smart binder to improve blood pressure on standing. And studies with norepinephrine transporter led Cynthia Shibao, who will speak tomorrow, to develop, again, new approaches to treat this disease. So, we learn we keep learning from this. In terms of education and service, he's been the director of the Clinical Research Center for a long, long time, and founder of the Autonomic Dysfunction Center, which started in 1981 with David and Rose. That was it. That was the Autonomic Dysfunction Center, and a few years later, and it's not like a billion meals served like McDonald's, but we've seen over 5,000 patients, and now we're a team of 6 clinical pharmacologists, cardiologists, neurologists, geriatricians. I miss neurologists. How did that happen, Amanda? Oh, okay, yeah, thank you. It was not, yes, now I see it, okay. He also has been the founder and president of the American Autonomic Society, and I remember distinctly the first meeting we had. There was 8 of us around a table. And that was the first meeting and it was international. Someone came from Canada, I think, I don't know. So, and now, of course, we're in the 27th year. Can you imagine that, David? And I was also in the first patient meeting back then, the Scheidegger support group, because this started by having the same meeting. The American Autonomic Society met together with the patients in the same meeting, and that was wonderful. And then we got fancy and went to hard-to-reach places, and the rest is history. But that doesn't diminish our commitment to the patient support groups. And of course, he's trained a new generation of autonomic researchers. I'm not new anymore, but I'm in that field. And this is a list of the trainees. I wish I had a picture of all of them, but you get the point. There's been a lot of them. And I just wanted to close by saying, of course, the most important thing is family, and this is David with Segeyu, little Rose, and Rose. And this is your bigger family, David, in various iterations. And I just wanted to thank you for all what you've done for us, and to allowing us to be part of your family and come along in your journey. Thank you so much, David.
Come on. Okay. So, as I said, there's a few people that really want to say some words. Many of you know Bob Summers. He's one of our longtime MSA warriors. He and his wife Susan together did a lot of work, and they worked with David Robertson as her physician, as an advocate. And Bob has, I think, a number of experiences he wants to share. So Bob, why don't you come on up so that you can say a few words.
I have a few other pictures on the things too. Okay, good. You don't know how hard I've worked on this. So much has gone through my mind of things that I could say and relate about a relationship that began about 2002 when Sue, after being diagnosed at Mayo Clinic, began to search for answers, and a phone call to Don Summers, who's no relation to me, but I would be proud to claim him, said, you need to go to Vanderbilt. There's a doctor there that's known around the world, best you'll find. And that's David Robertson. And Sue came back to me, and at that time, I think there was a study beginning, and so Sue was accepted and became part of the study. It just so happened that Ms. Robertson was to be Sue's doctor, but she was pulled away, I think, with heart association activities, which was going to open up new doors for us. And Dr. Robertson came in and sat down in the room with us that evening, I think the very first evening, and relaxed, spoke easy, made you feel comfortable. What he did say to us was important, and we listened to every word he said. But at the same time, he was almost like a security blanket to you. It made you feel comfortable. And before he left that evening, he said, "I want to give you my telephone number. If you need to call, call." Sue and I looked at each other like, can you believe this? All the doctors that we had seen on all those years had never given us their telephone number to call at home anytime. So this is the way that it started out. Now, I've got a bunch of things written down here, but there's a bunch of stories I could share that may be of interest more than anything that I could see. Some of the things have already been covered. I spoke for about 45 minutes with Bonnie Black just recently. I mean, we got to talking about you, and she learned things about you, and I learned things about you, and so she said something to the effect, well, you know, what is it that you may say? And I said, I think the first thing that comes to my mind is integrity. I mean, it just, when you look at him and watch him and the way he handles himself, and if you have a chance to visit up at the clinic and you watch the people that are around him, you notice that there is a special connection when you walk in the place. And that's special for all of us as patients, the care receivers, the caregivers, the family. How you treat your people who enter your facility is very important, and not everybody is treated that way in all facilities. And so it's a good feeling when you have a doctor who has the qualities that he possesses. And no doubt he married a good woman, because I'm sure she has added to those qualities over all these years, and he's added to hers, as you saw with the family. But I'm going to just mention a few things, and then I want to share some opportunities that came our way. Sometimes people come into your lives for, you don't understand the reason. But I think that anybody that touches your life, there's a reason for it. You may not know it at the time, but somewhere along the line, kind of things come together and you appreciate that. First thing I have is that you've left a lot of footprints from Middle Tennessee, around the world, no telling how many times, but you came back to your roots. Dr. Robertson grew up in a farming community right outside of Nashville. He knows what it means to live on a farm. I wish that I'd have been coaching when you were around. I would have enjoyed having you part of a team, because you know what it takes to be a winner. There's a little coaching for you. I put down that you are greatly admired and respected by your colleagues, as we've already seen, and those whose lives you have touched, both personally. I can say that you touched the life of Sue and myself. I found it interesting that as a young boy that you grew up on that farm. I hope you're not embarrassed to say, but I understand that you even considered to go into the ministry at one time. That's neat. A man who is willing to use his talents the way God directs him. He had other plans, not behind the pulpit, but I'm going to tell you that he does well behind the pulpit. In 2005, May the 4th, my wife passed away. As I began to think about those who played an important part in our journey, I thought of Dr. Robertson, and I called and I said, David, would you mind speaking at Sue's funeral? Without hesitation, he said, yes, I'll be there. I've never seen a doctor show up for a funeral and talk about things that were important. Now, I'm going to share a few stories in just a moment, but I'm going to lead into this. To see Dr. Robertson and Sue up there together brought some closure. Sue, excuse me, Sue was an advocate. She was willing to put her face out there on MSA's playing field. She had an interest in communicating with others whom she knew had MSA and would check on them. In fact, one time we made a trip to Jackson, Tennessee, right after she had the trach and the peg put in. Hadn't been any farther than Kroger's, and she comes up with this idea, we're going to Jackson, Tennessee to see Alice. And I couldn't talk her out of it. And there was a lot of suctioning involved, if you know anything about these trachs. And I am hesitant, and she said, go. We did. We went down and spent about 2 hours with the couple. In fact, the couple that we visited had been referred to us by your office. And they had made contact with us, and of course we wanted to talk to folks. I still enjoy, and today it's been good to be able to walk around and talk to some of you. But anyway, we went to Jackson and had a good visit and came back, and I said, Sue, I don't understand. I said, I'm suctioning you all the time at home. I said, I don't understand why we only did it about twice there on the trip. A friend of mine said, you know, sometimes if you have a lot of movement in the car, it breaks things loose. Maybe the movement of the car broke that loose. I don't know, and kept her from having a problem, but we got back home, got back to suctioning. But anyway, so Vanderbilt had a part in us meeting other people and Sue helping support. It gave Sue a reason to push on, and that's important. So I thank you, Bonnie, and the rest for considering that. Talking about these footprints that you leave behind, and for us to follow, try to follow in them. Being a leading researcher, you have been an advocate for many things, but awareness and raising money for research, helping those of us that need that help. And that gets into another story. In 2008, I came up after, well, let me back up. In 2008, the MSA meetings were held here in Nashville. So it's been that long since we've had one. And sitting there at the meeting, Sue was later telling me that it was important. She enjoyed it. I just went back motivated and thinking we need to do something in the way of awareness and to motivate and give our community, and all of you are part of this MSA community, an opportunity to do something positive and feel good about it. So I had a ball player at Riverdale High School. I teach right down the road, not too far, or I did teach. I'm retired. Right down the road from Nashville. And I had a ball player who played basketball for me, who later went on to play at Alabama in football and did well there, and then was drafted into the NFL. And so I thought, you know, I'm going to contact Fernando and see if he will be willing to step up and do something for the MSA community. So I made contact with him, and he said, Coach, I didn't know about Sue. And he said, what do you want me to do? And I said, whatever you can. I said, we really need to get some PR out there and promote awareness. And we need money for research. And at that time, Dr. Robertson was working with Dr. Ide at Western Michigan University on a research project. And so my minds working together. I had listened to Dr. Robertson, I'd listened to Dr. Ide. I got excited because we had scientists outside the medical field also involved in this thing. I say get whoever you can get. Bring them in and, milk them for all they can be milked. And because we want to get an end to this thing, And so anyway, I called Dr. Robertson, and I said, this is Bob, and I've got this idea I want to present to you and see what you think about it. And I could tell there was hesitation. Thought, he don't think we can pull this off. That's what I was thinking. And later he would verify that. But anyway, I told him about this, and I then asked him about monies where I needed to go with this. And he said, he said, Vanderbilt gets some money coming in. He said, I think Dr. Ide could use that at Western Michigan. And so I called Dr. Ide, and I told him what I'd heard from Dr. Robinson, and he encouraged me to get in touch with him. And all of a sudden, there's no answer at that end. It's kind of blank. And I'm thinking, come on, man, say something to me here. I'm offering you a chance to make some money. And then I said, well, I don't guess you need it. And he said, I'm working on a shoestring of a budget. And after that, I've wondered how many of our researchers out there are working on a shoestring of a budget. So you want to know why you need to promote awareness, why you need to have fundraisers. That's why. And the MSA Coalition, they've got plenty of places that you can use that money for. So we need to really get behind all of the efforts. Whether it's an individual, there's a lot of ways to do it. But anyway, getting back to my story. I called Fernando, and he said I can use my group that helps out with the different types of charities that I do. And so we were off and running, had somebody to fund the thing. He was doing it here in Nashville at the, can't remember the name of the hotel right now. But anyway, big hotel in Nashville. He brought in items for auction. We had over 100 people, probably about 125 people there. Dr. Robinson, both of you, were there that night to support. We had Dr. Ide and his assistant, Anna Lingenfeld from Western Michigan there, and we raised a little bit over $10,000 that night. And Fernando Bryant, they get the credit. Fernando Bryant was the cause and the reason for it to be a success, because he had all the connections, with the NFL players here in Nashville. And he had the foundation to operate it, and so it was a success. The news media covered it, and so it gave us a lot of good PR. Dr. Anna Lingenfeld, who was Dr. Ide's assistant, went back to Western Michigan, and she called me and she said, I was so impressed with what I saw. And she said, I want to do something for the MSA community. And I said, what do you have in mind? And at that time, 2009, Facebook was just beginning. She started talking about Facebook, and I said, I don't know anything about it. She said, well, I'll get it started. And so she said, you just get articles to go in, and I again asked Dr. Robinson to put something in, and everything began to get started for Miracles for MSA. So if you are on Miracles for MSA, you can give credit for the encouragement that Dr. Robertson gave me and Sue to pursue it with Fernando Bryant. So again, backing you is important. I think he would tell you that it was quite a successful event, and it was one of the earlier ones. I don't know how many events had been going on before 2008, but we tried to do our part here. And so right after that, he called Sue and I and asked us to come up and be part of a magazine article that you had. I think you have a weekly publication that comes out. And so he was promoting it, and I forget, 26,000 or something people, I think, read that publication, maybe more than that, as it goes out over the university campus. And then a little bit later on, one of Sue's basketball players, Sue coached 1 year, an 8th grade team, and did well. She had a better record than I did. She was 19-2, and I was 18-4. And so anyway, one of her students owns Roxy Theaters in, guess where? Dixon County and Lebanon, Tennessee. And she said, I want to do something, and here's my idea. If we can run a trailer, that thing that goes across the screen advertising, if you can get Vanderbilt, Dr. Robertson and them to get behind this and work up something for us, we'll run it for an entire year. It's amazing how many people go to the movies during that course of time. But for an entire year, that was ran across, and let's see, if I have it up here, it looks something like this. Multi-systems atrophy, MSA, is a rare disease. Now, they came up with this part, and I think it's good. But if your loved one has it, it's no longer rare to you. Help us find a miracle for MSA, and it has Vanderbilt down here. Every time there's been an idea or a suggestion passed on to Dr. Robinson and the staff there, they have been behind it 100%. And encouraged and helped. And to be able now to go in there and to shake his hand and get a hug from him and be greeted like I am is a good feeling. And I hope that somewhere along the line we have a chance to sit down at a kitchen table with a good meal in front of us, and I can get some of his kitchen table wisdom. This MSA community appreciates what you've done, and we know that it has involved sacrifice on your part, not just your part, but the family. We know that it takes perseverance. We know time and energy is involved in leadership. You acquire knowledge and you share that knowledge with others. And so, on behalf of all of us here, we thank you for what you do for the MSA community. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. We have just a few more comments. Dr. Tom Chalimsky is a member of our board, our scientific medical team. He could not be here tonight, but he wanted to extend a few words. So one of our newest member of our board, medical scientific experts, Dr. Vikram Khurana, Vic, is going to come up and read Tom's statement for Tom.
Wow, Dr. Summers is a very hard act to follow. I'm thrilled to be here, and thank you for the invitation. I'm here as a physician, as a scientist, someone like you who cares deeply about MSA, like all of you, and perhaps, as was just mentioned, most excitingly, as a fledgling member of the board that David founded. I do not know David personally, but I know him by reputation as a giant in a field that he founded. And it's a great honor for me to read something written by Tom, as was just mentioned. I first met David when I attended the American Academy of Neurology meetings sometime in the late 1980s as a resident in neurology at Mayo. 2 minutes of conversation made me clear. This man was not the typical academician. His own success did not drive his life. On the contrary, he was interested in those around him, in his own institution and outside. Some years later, Don Summers asked me to join the board of the MSA Coalition, where David had served as a founding member since its inception. I came to realize all the more that David approached life with kindness, wisdom, and at the same time with great candor. There is no question that David is a great physician and a great scientist. His patients want no one else to care for them. His many articles in the best journals prove the worth of his science, and his lab has grown while he was directing the MSTP program at Vanderbilt thanks to his vision as a mentor. But all of this excellence pales next to his passionate dedication to those who suffer with the devastation of illness. His service on the board of the MSA Coalition has inspired all around him and has helped me in particular to see the source of true value as he lives it, in compassion, in humility, and in simplicity. If the MSA Coalition has made an impact today, it is due to the blossoming of seeds planted with his hands many years ago. I'm sorry I cannot be there to enjoy this celebration of his work. I can imagine no one more deserving of an award from the MSA Coalition for service. So thank you, David, and thank you for inspiring the next generation of physician scientists for this worthy cause.
Another member of our board, Emeritus Vera James, who many of you know from the phone lines and years of service to the MSA Coalition, was not able to be here tonight, and also sent some words that she wanted to express to David. So our immediate past chair, Judy Biedenhorn, is here to express those words and share her thoughts. Judy?
Good evening. If you look at the picture that's up there, you'll see Dr. Robertson, you'll see myself and Don Krause, and then you'll see Vera James, who I will be reading a letter from her in just a couple minutes. But I want to say I could almost think that I was sitting beside Vera as she wrote her letter to you. So I'm not going to make a lot of comments, except when my husband was diagnosed in 1991 in Columbus, Ohio, we were satisfied with the diagnosis, did not like it, but we felt we had a good neurologist. Well, in 1995, at a family wedding, my brother got kind of tweaked out, and he said, I will send you any place in the world for a second opinion. So 4 years after our original diagnosis, we chose Vanderbilt because of Dr. Robertson's reputation. He had the good sense to be on vacation or out of town anyway. He was not at Vanderbilt when we were there, but after my husband passed away in 2003, I joined, went to my first conference, as you all are doing right now, and eventually became a member of the board. So I started attending conferences like you in 2004, and I'm still here. So all of you, there's a place for you at one time or another, but I can just totally appreciate all that Dr. Robertson has done for the MSA community. So thank you. And now the letter from Vera, but also kind of a PS from me, because she really mimicked a lot of what we went through. Dr. Robertson, when my husband was diagnosed with MSA, I spent hours searching the internet to learn what this unknown disorder was. While doing so, I came across your name over and over in research articles that you had a hand in. Then I never dreamed I would meet you, let alone volunteer in an organization you had a hand in starting. Many may not ever know how much time and energy you have given to MSA. The research, establishing the online Yahoo group, the MSA Coalition, and with others, the Global MSA Registry. I have seen your support of families that have been touched by this rare disorder. your kind heart that reached out to help them to understand. Never once did you ask for recognition for yourself. I am sorry that I am not able to be here in person for this long overdue recognition in your honor, but as one who has seen just a small part of what you have done for MSA, I want to say thank you. Vera James.
Thank you, Judy. And finally, our Vice Chair, Don Krause, has had years of working with David and is going to come up and say a few final words on behalf of the coalition.
So I first met David in 1996. It was my first meeting with the SDS support group, and I was a product manager for a company that was preparing to launch mitogen. So I attended the meeting down here in Nashville in 1996 and attended a few meetings, and then Don Summers, who's in the picture, was our second president of the support group, invited me to join the board, and so that's when I really began my sort of colleague relationship with David. It's been a 21-year journey, and I think it's really important to recognize the amount of time that David has put into this charity and this cause over the years. You've seen everything that he's done on an academic level, and he truly is one of the most caring physicians that I've ever met, as you can hear from the dedications from some of the patients and their caregivers that he's worked with over the years. On a personal level, I actually have a rare eye disease, and when David found out about it, I know he put a lot of thought into it over some period of time, and every now and then I'd get a phone call and he'd offer advice and ideas on how I should be talking to my eye doctors up in at the Wilmer Eye Institute, and so I just really appreciate that you think, you know, on a personal level like that about the people that you know, and I know that you do that with all of your patients that you see on a daily basis. So I think that's an incredible thing for a physician, and we're really lucky as an MSA, as the cause, to have so many doctors like David that are willing to put their personal time into this volunteer time to help educate everybody. It really is a caring community, and David's the perfect role model for it. You know, over the years, we had some lean times. This was our board after, right after Don Summers had retired. He was fairly sick with a different condition. Passed away shortly after this picture was taken. I know he wishes he could be here tonight to give you a very passionate speech of gratitude for everything that you did for his family and for the MSA cause. I was sitting there thinking that, wow, I wish Don was here to be able to recognize you. It would have meant the world to him. And I think as our charity matured, David played an incredibly important role in that. He's been probably our biggest cheerleader on the board. He pops onto our board calls and provides words of encouragement for the work that we're getting done. He's put a lot of effort into, as we were establishing our scientific advisory board and our MSA research grant program, which has really matured over the last couple of years and is now funded close to $2 million in research. David helped with providing the guidance to set it up properly so that it truly is a world-class process for identifying which grants deserve the money from the grassroots people that are donating to our cause. We really want to ensure that the money is being spent as wisely as possible on the best possible research, and we really couldn't do it without the effort of David and our other scientific advisory board members who put a lot of time into reviewing the grants that we get now on an annual basis, grading them so that our board can review them and make the final decisions on how much funding each of the grants is going to be getting. So I think we're all very proud of the fact that we have a truly world-class grant process, and Pam does an amazing job with that too. I can't mention research grants without mentioning all of her work on it. So with that, David, we actually do have a special recognition for you. This is our Hearts of Service Award, and it's for your lifetime achievements to the entire MSA community, and especially to your work with the MSA Coalition. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, David. All right, so as the evening continues, the arts can be very valuable as you navigate this disease, as an outlet, as a relief. And this year's patient representative, Hadley Ferguson, is herself an artist, and she has overseen this evening's project to showcase the arts in our community. So, and she's worked really amazingly hard to put all of this together. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Hadley to begin the next portion of our program. Thank you, Hadley. Is this yours?
Okay, well, thank you. So this evening, we put out a call to people in the community, and we were requesting people who may have any type of artwork that they'd like to share. And so this evening, we have a collection of 15 talents that we'd like to share with you. And the reason why I did this is that I am an artist. I have MSA, and art has kept me going. I used to do very large scale work, and my work is now very small, but I still do it. And I see the benefits in a lot of people who have a chronic illness, whether it be art or music, but it's something that you can keep doing, express yourself, and so we'd like to share some of those talents tonight. Some people are caregivers, some people have MSA, and you'll hear as the night goes. So I'd like to introduce my husband, John, who wanted to do a little introduction on me. I'll start off the night with mine, and then we'll roll into the other people.
Good evening, everyone. My name is John Ferguson, and my wife is Hadley. And I met Hadley in 1996 in Missoula, Montana. At that time, I was going to school, working at the farmer's market, and selling cookies, lemon bars, other baked goods. And Hadley was, she would come down to the farmer's market in the summer, and she'd buy bread at the stand next to me, even though I was selling bread. But eventually, we did caught eyes, and we had some good conversations there in Missoula. And but just to give you a glimpse into Hadley's personality, after those times, I mean, Hadley's she tracked down my number, and she actually was the one who asked me out first. So nice. And so we've been together ever since. We now have a 10-year-old daughter named Sarah, and Hadley and Sarah love to they play the piano together, they create art together, and So it's fantastic. We love Sarah, and we love being a family together. In 2010, Hadley was diagnosed with early onset Parkinson's. And then as her symptoms progressed over the next 3 years, she was then re-diagnosed with multiple system atrophy. During the initial years, during her diagnosis, Hadley did found the Summit for Parkinson's nonprofit organization in Montana, which is the only Parkinson's organization serving client needs throughout Montana. She's also worked closely with the Brian Grant Foundation and the Michael J. Fox Foundation as well. Hadley spent her career as a freelance artist. She has a Bachelor in Fine Arts in Drawing and Sculpture from the University of Montana. Wow. And as you will see, we'll move on to the Hadley Ferguson, the Missoula Catholic Art Project, and hopefully you all will enjoy that.
Missoula, Montana originally. I'm a native. From the time I was a child, my mom and dad had me going to little art programs. I remember, I think, 3rd grade on. Mom moved to Manhattan, New York when I was 9 and brought me with her, and she took me to all the museums, and I think that's when I started really loving looking at art and studying it. Then we went to Europe later in life, and she took me to all the museums around Europe. What I'm drawn to are dramatic things, so I like strong light and color. I
I decide what is important to include a lot of times by hearing a story and what jumps out to me. Things that were interesting to me, I figure will be interesting to people who don't know the history. I just like to try to have as many little things that can pull in other stories that people can think about and reflect on after they see the main image. And it's just all about organizing images. The images always take on a life of their own. I think I'm going to do something, and then as I go, things always change. Getting into historical murals just because I had the great opportunity to work on the downtown murals for Missoula, and I don't think that I really realized how much I would enjoy. I just would like people to know that this is an incredible group of people. It's a loving family. I've been able to interact with the students and the teachers, and so I'm not only telling the history of a great story, but I'm also getting to live within the environment that the story is about. I'm close to being done, and then I write out a master list of all the little details that are slightly bothering me. And then I go through that list, and when that list is done, then I'm done. And then I sign my name, and then I'm really done. I can't do anything after that. I was surprised by the emotion that people had when they saw the paintings.
This slide represents Ken Howry, who, as you'll hear, is a patient. Ken Howry was born and raised in Oklahoma. He has been a cowboy all his life, working on and managing horse and cattle ranches in Oklahoma, Texas, and Florida. Ken began writing and performing cowboy poetry in the early 1990s. In 2015, Ken was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, or possibly dementia with Lewy bodies. In July of 2017, Ken was diagnosed with multiple system atrophy with Parkinson features at the Movement Disorders Clinic in the OU Neurosciences Department in Oklahoma City. Ken and his lovely wife, Lisa, live southwest of Fitztown, Oklahoma, on their Sunshine Prairie Ranch.
He'll Always Be a Cowboy by Ken Howry. He used to sit tall in the saddle. Now he just sits in the shade and stares off into the distance, reliving the memories he's made. I remember him telling us stories of the horses, cattle, and men that helped to forge a good cowboy. But he can't get back there again. We treasure the miles rode together, though most of the time he can't speak. But I'll hand him some horsehair leather. He'll nod and his eyes start to leak. The tracks are now slowly fading. The old trails, they just don't look the same. His old body has sure enough betrayed him. He gets lost somewhere in his brain. Oh, but occasionally he still catches glimpses of the way that things used to be. Back when he rode the wild bucking horses or tied a wild cow to a tree. Though his face remains so stoic, his expression, it may never change. But if you look deep in his soul's windows, you'll find him out riding the range. Yes, sir, he always will be a cowboy, no matter what this life holds. 'Cause his saddle still sits there beside him, and he never did sell out his soul. Vaya con Dios, my friend.
Hi, I am not Kathy, but I'm speaking Kathy's words. These are the words that she wrote to introduce her own work. She says, I consider myself a cultural creative. My life is filled with art. After being diagnosed with MSA, I began using art as part of my healing process. I draw mandalas every day. Art brings me great peace and a feeling of centeredness. Art is my medicine. I have drawn over 2,000 mandalas. Each one is an expression of my healing process. I do not draw them for a finished product, but for the experience of creation. I love to share my work. I am always grateful when others feel the healing energy that I have drawn forth in each piece.
Wayne Brennan is a singer-songwriter from Ireland who wrote a very special song specifically to be used to raise awareness of MSA. Inspired by his friends JP and Rita, this is a song of love and of hope that one day a cure will be found. Please enjoy the song, I Have a Dream.
In your voice, a lullaby throughout the years. It's so beautiful, living in love. Your heart fits mine like a glove. It seems what goes around isn't always what comes back around. Tables turned, the words we shared replaced with empty sounds. For reasons we don't know, this is just the way our story goes. Now you're gone, the memories of our life begin to flow. And it was beautiful, living in love, when your heart fit mine like a glove. Satellites on the way to Mars. The world so hard would knock your know into your grace. The flutter of a wing, a tear, a heart losing pace. It was so beautiful, living in love. Your heart whispers from above. We've got satellites on their way to Mars. The world is at our fingertips, but we're reaching for the stars. I know someday we'll all face that one direction. Find a way of healing all the world with love and true affection. I have a message, I have a dream to find the cure, to find the remedy, to find a cure, a remedy, and finally see a new reality.
Tonight, I have the distinct pleasure of introducing Dr. Larry Kellerman, who many of you have probably talked to when you called on the MSA support line. He's sharing with you a poem that he wrote called Ode to a Rag Doll, that he wrote for his wife, Mary Colleen Kellerman, who passed from confirmed MSA cerebellar in February 2016. All right.
Ode to my rag doll. Falling, bouncing, looking in each other's eyes for that split second after the bounce. Crying, running to my rag doll. Once again wondering why someone might take a chance on life and death. How can my rag doll be so stubborn, so bullheaded? Not like the rag dolls we played with as kids. Not like the rag dolls in the books. My rag doll did not choose this life, so why a rag doll when all this rider of prose desires is his wife? Nerves and muscles working together. For some it is normal, but for my rag doll it is not that way. How can one describe the ravages to the body that makes a queen, a beauty not unlike the Cleopatra she loves so much, into my rag doll? Time only draws out the change, making it seem changes are like life, governed by the sun and our revolutions, ruled by gravity and the scientists' words of wisdom. My rag doll became, if such can be said, one over time. Fall and try to explain. No insurance means trying to explain through the tears and bounces, irrespective of the bruises and broken bones. The floor, the ground, have no ability to tell that the body being pulled by that mysterious force is my rag doll, to be protected, not broken. Why can't gravity be suspended, this rag doll lover asks. My rag doll knows what floors and not listening to those who love and care for her will do to a butt and to arms and wrists that are her rag doll body. Doctors, those proficient in ragdollism, and others, listeners and seers, have painted the picture of danger and tragedy when a body tries to fight the force of gravity. Gravity always wins, we say, to no avail. Multiple system atrophy, type cerebellar, sounds so strange when said that way. What do you mean, multiple? My rag doll asks. Why, doctors and patients and caregivers all ask, are systems breaking down and causing bones to break, bruises to appear, systems to forget how to work together, unable any longer to take on a force that pulls rag dolls down? Love and rag dolls don't always go together. This time, however, whether by the hands of God or the hands of my rag doll, they did. And love has a mysterious, transformative power that helps when my rag doll loses her fight with gravity. When my rag doll loses her ability to be the doll she was, the doll she will always be in her husband's eyes. It's been said that love conquers all. But wait, there is a caveat in that timeless statement. It's not in the word love, for that word and all the meaning it includes cannot come between my rag doll and her husband. Conquers all, in the end, whether battling time or gravity, love cannot do. It has no power over the forces and ravages of multiple and system and atrophy and gravity. To look into the beautiful eyes of my rag doll after a fall, crying and wondering why, her husband can only hope that, like many rag dolls, mine will not lose the smile on her face, nor the love that her loved ones share with her. Maybe love will conquer all in the end. And someday, my rag doll's good fight will help another rag doll fight gravity and the floor and win. Mr. Ragdoll.
Will Norman encountered MSA through his father, who was diagnosed with the disease in 2012 after 8 years of believing his condition was Parkinson's disease. Will began documenting his father's life as an MSA sufferer in the summer of 2014 and continued over 2 years to eventually create a 1-hour documentary. This documentary has since been featured across national print and press in the UK, and Will has appeared on ITV London and South East London to share his father's experiences with MSA and raise awareness of the disease. Will graduated from the University of Sussex with first-class honors in film and English BA in 2017. We have a short clip of that film for you tonight.
Well, I go in the cleaning every Saturday night, and on Mrs. Robinson's years I drove to town. Come here now, boy. You're going to be a film star? Yeah.
Blows my mind sometimes the way he deals with it. You know, he must feel so frustrated inside, and it amazes me how much he manages to contain that, and he doesn't have our, you know, especially when he's trying to speak to us, and you know, he can't always get across what he's trying to say, and you know, when he's trying to type and he keeps sort of repeating a letter, and he's just, all he wants to do is just get across what he wants, and he can't.
Hello, everyone. My name is James Thomas. I'm actually here on behalf to talk a little bit about someone you met earlier tonight. His name's Bob Summers. He's my father-in-law. He's a great inspiration. If you all get a chance to speak with him, I would encourage you to do so. I was feeling pretty good getting here until watching that little clip of the last video there. That kind of hits home for you because you see a lot of things there that we've seen. Bob is, as you know, a caregiver and a husband. And his caregiving was from about 2003 to 2014. We have some paintings here tonight that are to my far right, the far three here. Some of the work that he did, and these were stress relievers. You spend a lot of time in a home, and you have a whole house, and the only part of the house you occupy is a bedroom, 24 hours a day. And that bedroom can be very small at times, and when it's full of people, and wow. My wife, my sister-in-law, my niece and nephew, we all spent a lot of time in that bedroom. But these paintings were stress relief and an opportunity for Bob to spend time with Susan outside of just caring for her. And it was something that Bob enjoyed, and as well as my mother-in-law, Susan, enjoyed it as well. It was a way of to get her approval and to have her involved and to give something to take your mind away from the stresses and the work that MSA is. I don't have to tell you all about that, you already know, but Dr. Robertson, thank you again. But what we have here is 3 paintings. Sorry. On the far right here, these are just pictures that Bob and Susan, who traveled a lot, they were teachers. They spent their time traveling, seeing as much as they could. These are Colorado and Wyoming, and the ending here. Bob is a lover of Native Americans and the West in general. So this is one of his favorite paintings as well. But the far painting is September in Vail. And the middle painting you hear is the winter in the Tetons, which is one of Bob's favorite places. And we've heard a lot about it. And I may never say this name right, but Malakato Akita, which means I am Lakata, a warrior, a soldier, will be the Indian here on display. I just want to say thank you for everyone who's come out. It means a lot to Bob. It means a lot to everyone here. We're thankful for the opportunities that we've had to be a part of this and what MSA has done for us and what we hope it can do for you. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Coxin Chi, and this is my wife Joan. And it is a privilege to introduce her. And just this week we celebrate 25 years of our marriage. Joan was born in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and has been playing the cello since the age of 10. Although cello is not her profession, it's one of her passions. After college, she played 2 years professionally with the Grand Rapids Symphony Orchestra in Grand Rapids, Michigan, before moving to Boston, where we met, married, and have our children. In Boston, she played with an excellent community orchestra called the Civic Symphony Orchestra of Boston, until we moved to Malaysia in 2004. I was diagnosed on February 11th, 2015 with MSA in Malaysia which prompted our return to Grand Rapids, Michigan in December of 2015. Thankfully, she has found a place to play a cello with a community orchestra in Grand Rapids called the Kent Philharmonic Orchestra. She also performs with a piano trio group called Jubilat that performs in various retirement communities in the greater Grand Rapids area. Please welcome my wife and best friend as she performs Prelude, the first movement of the first suite from J.S. Bach, Suite for Solo Cello. Thank you.
Hello again. The video you're going to see in a couple minutes is a poem that my daughter submitted for this arts part of our meeting tonight. Just as a very, very brief history, my husband lived 15 years with multiple system atrophy, and it was confirmed on autopsy. He was only 61 when he passed away, but he was doctoring in 1987, diagnosis in 91, confirmed at Vanderbilt in 95, and did not pass away till 2003. Our youngest child, we had 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter. Our daughter was basically in high school and through college and early married life. And I'm not sure when she wrote the poem that you're going to hear, but I think it was rather recent. But basically, it was reflective. And it's kind of interesting to note that a couple times you're going to notice her refer to glasses kind of askew. Because my husband, when he couldn't see right, would just always skew his glasses. So much so, and I don't mean any disrespect, but when he was in his casket, more than one family member came and put his glasses on, skewed. The funeral director would come and somebody would put his glasses on right, and the next time I would look in the casket, they would be skewed again. And I think she makes reference to that. But thank you.
Dad's glasses. The scourge became known to me gradually, as it overtook his body gradually, turning his brain against his body until his body wouldn't listen anymore, refusing to obey. Coming home from college, a series of little jobs, spending time with Dad, cleaning his glasses at the kitchen sink. These glasses that had so often hung off one ear. Dad needs his eye against the viewfinder. Disability retirement provides time to organize photos, captions about Gettysburg and Boston before the digital age, one last trip to San Diego, the Grand Canyon, and a Mexican day cruise, always offering to snap a pic for others before the selfie era. Drying the lenses and the nose piece, the green copper oxide annoying me, his syndrome annoying me. Why does he burp so much? He taught me to say excuse me, but it's too frequent to bother, I guess. Better job, new husband, new home, different city, longer stretches as the disease progresses in my absence. Medical devices, pureed meals, air mattresses, bed baths. Thank God for the hairdresser and the Eucharistic minister who make house calls. Everything atrophies, except Dad's eyes and his sense of humor, spelling out Fraser's bottom to prompt an old joke, his eyes smiling like an Irish song. My turn in San Diego. Same husband, new job, new baby. Phone calls when I talk and he listens. Maybe I'll fly home. Surprise. Not the good kind. Flying home for a funeral is not what I meant. The funeral director doesn't understand. Visitation. The disease never took Dad's mind, so it's kind of funny that his brain is gone, donated to science. He looks pretty good considering, but he should be smiling, always. And his glasses should be hanging off one ear. We take care of that, a private smile, his family laughing as his friends come in. The caretaker aligns Dad's spectacles. Maybe I looked again, but I don't recall. I remember him in the box with those glasses askew. My turn at the Grand Canyon, taking over Dad's post behind the viewfinder, snapping a picture of a couple traveling from far away. Living far away has helped me miss him gradually. The copper oxide on my glasses now, a private smile.
Good evening. My name is Jim Duffy, and I have the honor and pleasure of introducing Elaine Douglas. Elaine is a Seattle-based artist, screenwriter, film producer. She has a bachelor's degree in psychology. She has a master's degree in communication. But that's not what makes her special. What makes her special is her caregiver's soul and the way it manifests itself in the cards that she makes for her beloved Diane. And these cards, on one level, are very, very personal, but also anyone in the MSA community, I think, can understand what's behind them and the beauty and the thoughts and the caring that goes into each one. You're a special person, and I've appreciated your support. And I know all the people that you hug and lean on here, appreciate it too. And thank you for sharing.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay.
Jim and I are in a support group in Seattle. So if anybody hasn't joined up a support group, it's such a great thing. It's really great.
So as many of you know, I'm a Jersey girl. So I am very pleased to be able to be the one to introduce Matt Williams. He's a singer, songwriter, currently residing in, wait for it, Burlington County, New Jersey. He began his solo career in the 90s. He taught himself how to play guitar, drums, piano, harmonica, bass, a little banjo, very talented individual. He's a self-taught producer, engineer, vocalist. He says, music makes me happy. I want to share that happiness. We only have one shot at this life, and if through my music I can touch someone else's life, then I've used my gift correctly. He lost his mother to MSA. I'm just a guy who writes songs the old-fashioned way. I feel something, and I write a song about it. I don't get hung up over whether or not it's popular. It's the art form I choose to express with.
Hi, I'm the Williams boy, Matt Williams, also go by Billy, as you may know, if you know me. I'm doing a song here called Stay. It's an original piece that I wrote, has personal meaning to me, but so does this, MSA. It is a neurological degenerative disease that takes a person's life in a very long process. There's a lot of people this year have made a lot of headway in letting people know about this disease. Pam Bauer, the MSA Coalition, Lily Shee of the Cure MSA Fund, Chef Kerry Simon just held a benefit out in Nevada. A lot of great people were there. And it's wonderful that they're putting their muscle behind this disease and helping people understand it, what it does. At the end of the video, there's some links you can go to and check them out. Hopefully, if I know how to do this stuff right. I hope you enjoy the song. It's dedicated for all those affected by MSA, be it the patients, family, friends, relatives, doctors. More light should be brought to this, and I hope it does. Thanks. Come on in, my friend, let me help you take those troubles off your shoulders. You've been standing outside in the pouring rain for hours. I know the road is long. Sometimes you feel like you can't get away. Why don't you stay a little bit longer? Why don't you stay a little bit longer? I know the road is long. Sometimes it feels like you can't get away. Why don't you stay? I ain't gonna sit here and tell you I ever walked down the road in your shoes. But I'll sit right here and I'll listen
and offer you a drink. Let me hear you sing. I know the road is long. Sometimes it feels like you can't get away. Why don't you stay a little bit longer? 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 I know the road is long. Yeah, sometimes it feels like you can't get away. Oh Lord, why don't you stay? I know the road is long. Sometimes it feels like you can't get away. Why don't you stay a little bit longer? Why don't you stay a little bit longer? Why don't you stay a little bit longer? Why don't you stay a little bit longer?
Spread the word on MSA, everybody. Thank you.
So Katie Kim is a painter, and Katie and her husband Freddie were going to come here tonight, and unfortunately they are not able to be here. So Freddie has prepared a video introduction of Katie that will play. I wanted you to take a little second to appreciate her beautiful paintings. This is Katie's work, and we'll play the introduction from Freddie.
I would like to tell you about Katie Kim. Katie is my wife, my lover, my friend, my buddy, and my consultant. She is a successful pharmacist of 20 years and also a registered consultant pharmacist. She is athletic. She is adventurous. She is graduated from the most prestigious university in Seoul, Korea, with honors in mathematics and science and got her pharmacy degree here in the New York area. She loves to work out. She loves to dress up. She has performed on stage. Watching an Asian do salsa dancing is quite something. Katie loves to water ski. Enjoy the outdoors. Relax. Box, which is her favorite. She loves to box, especially with me. She loves to dress up. And this is her in the park, Central Park in New York City, rock climbing, but she loved painting, and she spent weeks on doing a painting. She never had a single lesson in her oil painting, and yet she has achieved so much. It's just incredible. No matter what the sport is, she'll take it on. As you can see, she is a very special person, especially in my life. And we tried to do everything in terms of her disease. We scour the world for that miracle drug, as everybody in this room does. She loves to travel to unique places around the globe, such as the Middle East, Italy. This is just a few months ago. And of course, as the disease takes its toll, she works out at home with YouTube on Parkinson exercise. This is Katie Kim, my buddy, my friend, my lover, and I just want everybody to know who she is. Thank you.
I get the distinct pleasure of introducing our first patient representative on the MSA board. Came on the same time as I did in 2014. Became a very good friend of mine, a special friend of my wife during the time she got to know him and see him at one of our conferences in Virginia, and he's a wonderful person. He was diagnosed with probable MSA in 2008 at the age of 48. He served on the MSA Coalition board until the disease began to take its toll in late 2015. Before MSA, he enjoyed a vibrant career in the tech industry. Stints at Oracle, Active Software, and Microsoft were overshadowed by his memorable 6-year stretch next Apple, working closely with the late Steve Jobs. Tom was also an accomplished high school and collegiate basketball player, playing at Mount St. Mary's, and he was an active, lifelong athlete, and still is. His final project with the MSA Coalition Board was to help launch the upcoming One Less Thing fundraising initiative to help find a cure and better treatment regimens for MSA patients. And he wrote a poem, and I'd like to read the poem to you. One less thing. MSA is a thief committing multiple crimes, and to make matters worse, the victims serve the time. Crooks always take, they never bring. Seems like every month, it's yet one less thing. Body systems fail, some slow, some fast. This one teeters. How long will it last? You can't do this, you'll do that no more. Just an endless string of one less things to endure. Well, at MSA's Alcatraz, our warriors get wings. And when Carrie flew off, we could hear him sing. Finally, one less thing to worry about. MSA is a jail, and I've just busted out. Thank you.
Is Bianca here? Oh, there she is. I have the distinct honor to introduce Bianca Plunkett. Bianca is a nurse and a wife by day and a painter by night. She has been a registered nurse for 3.5 years. She now works as an RN at Vanderbilt in the Clinical Research Center, where she has had the opportunity to take care of patients struggling with autonomic conditions such as multiple system atrophy and postural tachycardic syndrome, also known as POTS. Bianca has a particular concern to help and care for these patients, because she has struggled with POTS herself for 19 years. She has painted several pieces for her own wedding and as gifts for friends and family. However, because of her personal interest and passion in helping people with autonomic conditions, she would like to raise awareness by painting. This is a new and recent project, and this is her first exhibition of her work, but hopefully not the last. She's looking forward to enhancing her artistic skills and becoming more in touch with her right brain and alter ego. Bianca, the artist.
So my name is Bianca. I'm a nurse at Vanderbilt, a wife to an awesome husband named Zach, and a mother of 2 awesome cats named Bob and Minnie. Since working at Vanderbilt in the Clinical Research Center, I've had an opportunity to care for several patients with multiple system atrophy. To be honest, until I started this job, I never heard of MSA. But now that I've heard of it, I'll never forget it, and I'll never stop raising awareness. I've personally lived with another autonomic disorder, she said, called POTS for 20 years now. And although I've met other POTS patients who are a lot more debilitated than I am, there's been no patient that's pulled on my heartstrings more than the MSA patients that I've taken care of. I can't imagine what each of you are going through, yet despite that, each person that I've met has had so much strength and courage in the face of MSA. Theodore Roosevelt once said, "Courage is not having the strength to go on, it is going on even when you don't have the strength." This is so true, and I've seen it in each of you that I've met, and the impression you've left on me will forever be ingrained in my memory. Because of this, I'd like to give this painting and this wreath away to 2 of you. I wish I had time to make one for each of you, but we'll just raffle them off.
Painting first. So,
So I've got ticket 685011, Diane Atkins. Ticket number 685072.
Rex Griswold was diagnosed with MSA about 4 years ago. But he never let MSA define him. He lived life to the fullest with his wife Tracy, his sons Park and Wilson. Yet he was committed to the MSA cause and soon became known as an MSA warrior. His peers established the Rex Griswold Foundation to fund research and development for MSA. In 2015, Rex and Tracy came to the coalition asking for some support for a project they were working on, to dance for MSA. So at the conference out in Seattle in 2015, dance we did. In August this year, Rex lost his battle to MSA. Tonight, we want to remember that dance that Rex inspired. I know that Tracy's watching at home. Tracy, we're thinking of you, and know that Rex will never be forgotten. And now we're going to share that dance, and we're going to invite everybody to do it again. Whether you're at home, whether you're here, everybody, let's dance.
There's a very special person in the MSA community, MSA patient and advocate and a dear, dear friend, Rex Griswold, who has come up with a challenge. There's a very special person in the MSA community, MSA patient and advocate and a dear, dear friend, Rex Griswold, who has come up with a challenge. He's calling it Dance for MSA, hashtag Dance for MSA. And the idea is similar to the ice bucket. You do a dance, you take a video, you upload it to YouTube, you put your hashtag on there, and please donate and challenge some 5 friends. So I want to say to you, Rex, if you're watching, which I hope you are, that we're really sorry. We're not going to ask 5 friends to do this challenge. We're going to ask 5,000 friends. Come on, let's dance.
Version, it goes on forever. All right. Okay. All right. Let's okay. Let's get out of here. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, you can all just dance right out to the food line.
We've done that already. Good job. Okay. So we move on to the conclusion for this evening. Several years back, our conference overlapped the weekend of World MSA Day. And, you know, light a candle for MSA. So we held a ceremony that evening, which people really appreciated, and has now become an annual tradition. It's a time to light a candle. Maybe it's a candle for a loved one lost to MSA, so you remember. Maybe it's a candle for someone who's currently traveling the MSA journey. So it is a candle of support. Maybe it's your passion, your research. It's a candle of hope. Each table has some tea light candles and some index cards. So we invite you to write a little note with the name of the person or group or sentiment that you want to write about, and take that little tea light candle. There's a little switch underneath to turn it on, and make your way up to these front tables here and share your candles for MSA. All right, and as soon as you're ready, you can start walking on up and presenting them on this table. Thank you. beautiful. That concludes our program this evening. I hope that it brought you some joy, some hope, some comfort, and go and get a good night's rest tonight, because we have another full day ready for you tomorrow. And I invite you, before you leave, to enjoy the candles and take a walk through at some of the art that's posted here. Good night.
I was just about to say.